It is visible. Screen sharing is visible. Screen
Yes,
sharing
sir.
is. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Good morning, all of you. Welcome to the lecture series on construction management and entrepreneurship, 18 CV 51. In the previous session, we have discussed some of the aspects of behavioral of one person to another person and ethical needs, which is very much essential for the very good performance of the institute or a organization or a construction company as a whole. And we have concluded that moral is individual understanding and ethics, and it is governed by moral is governed by the individuals, and ethics is a philosophy of morals, and it is governed by one organization. So it varies from one company to another company. And some of the activities of unethical practices that also we have discussed. Now, today's session, we are focusing on some of the very important aspects of a working culture, and particularly in the construction industries, and which we are focusing on some of the points which are said to be individual rights, professional rights, and whistleblowing. Now, what exactly it is? Right is nothing but the basic understanding of what the good and bad for a one individual. Let us say what is right, what is wrong. It is a personal understanding at the individual levels, and at as professional rights is at the whole of the institution or a whole of the organization or a whole of the company. Therefore, individual levels and professional levels, what are the understanding of your rights that we are going to discuss. And whistleblowing is another sort of inconveniences occurred due to the misbehavior or what you call as it is unethical way of spreading the news of moral rights. So therefore, these are under these professional rights. There is a very important topic to focus on. Well, let us start with the basic understanding of the individual rights. So, an individual right is a person's freedom to act in a social environment. It is basically, we can understand, it is a understanding of the right one can perform within effectively and in the social environment to act as an individual in the form of we can as action or we call it as a behavior, and we can have what you call as a thought process or whatever may be. So therefore, it is basically individual right. It is an understanding of the individual to act in a good manner and understanding what is good and what is wrong. Therefore, in a social environment, because in a working culture, in any industry, one has to understand these individual rights because without understanding these rights, either it is individual rights or a professional rights, it is not able to go into the depth of the profession. Basically, the profession requires certain knowledge of the rights basically at the level of individual and at the level of the company itself, or at the level of, we call it as a profession itself. Therefore, we call it as the individual rights. We classify it as the individual rights. It is a rights to behave in a properly, to to execute certain action in a certain company. So therefore, it is also called as essence for a society to function properly. In order to function a proper functioning of the particular organization, so it is the basic requirement is very important thing is individual right. Therefore, they are normally set by certain laws and enforced by the government. Therefore, some of the things we should understand from the different countries and the continent itself. So, individual rights are, some of the individual rights are guaranteed in some of the organizations, and some of the workplaces it is not guaranteed. Therefore, there it happens where there are some of the effects of racial and gender discrimination. Now, you can see that there is one example I can put forth here. A person called as Donovan. It is an example considered from the United States of America. This is the example where in one financial company, Mr. Donovan is a financial analyst, and he was working since 3 years, and his boss told him there is a position available at the head of the financial research. That means he has applied for some post called as head of the financial research. So after the interview and selection process is over, although he is having lot of experiences, lot of knowledge, professional knowledge, and ethics and other things, still at the end of the interview, at the end of the what you call as at the end of the process of selection, he was not being selected. This is because of the only one problem, that is it is the racism. That is, skin color is not white. That means this happens. This happens mainly because of the racism. Racism means the discrimination in terms of skin color. Now this is worldwide problem. So therefore, so individually you should claim that what is the problem. Individually you should understand what is the right to act here. So you should claim at the level of individual that what is wrong in the process of selection. If he is found to be incompetent, then the selected person cannot be considered to be fit. But if it is competent in nature, is having so much of experience and the knowledge and also the professional experience, still he is unable to select for the process. That is only because of the the skin color. Now this happens for Indians when they go to Australia, when they go to South Africa. This happens. So therefore, there is a discrimination in the workplace regarding the racism. And also, this is the example I am giving. Although a person is having so much of experience, so much of knowledge, so much of competencies, still he is unable to get the proper position in the particular company. Therefore, it is rightly said that if that is the racism happens to be the case, then you are having the full rights to fight against such discrimination. So therefore, this is one example I am giving. Similarly, such things happens in Indian condition also. For example, etc., etc., comes into picture. Even the region also, from one region to another region, from one state to another state, from one place to another place, one caste to another caste, one religion to another religion. So these are the things which is happening in India, and not only in India, but also at the level of world also. We have seen the example of United States. Similarly, we have got the examples on Australia. Indians face lot of problems due to the racism and the discrimination happen. Now it is the condition is better due to the political influence. That is a different story. But overall, the Indian people suffered a lot, particularly when they visit Australia and some of the countries like Africa and South Africa. Therefore, we have to understand that the individual rights is a very important concept to fight against such discrimination. So this is clearly a violation of basic individual right as stated in the United States federal laws. Therefore, the basic rights of engineers include the right to live freely and pursue their legitimate interest as any human being. So we are basically a human beings. One should have legitimate interest in the accessing our rights to fight against all these discriminations. So therefore, as engineers, we should understand the basic right of legitimate interest. That is very, very important. So if you are having a very fundamental problem with the with your experience, with your knowledge, your qualification, then the selection procedure or the discrimination is not the discrimination. If at the selection levels or whatever call as consideration of a particular person at the organization and the focus on a particular man, that will be a different one. Therefore, we can say that the consideration of the basic right is for engineers is to understand what is wrong, what is right for a person to work with the company and understand the basic rights. That is very important. And consciousness is one of the understanding. Conscience is another thing. So conscience is a basic understanding here which plays a very important role. Conscience is very important role here to understand what is good and what is bad. So understanding this at the level of individual, at the level of the whole of the company. Therefore, this is the basic right all individuals have in a working culture or working organizations. Now, another aspect I want to discuss is professional rights. Professional rights, it is very important thing that profession. What are the professional rights? What we call professional rights means particularly you are working in organizations. Let us say that if you want to work lawfully, you want to work with the correctness, you want to work with the rightness, and you want to work with the professional way of what you call as professional way of carrying out the work. For example, I will give the example here. So certain it happens in the particularly in the construction industry. What happens is at the individual levels, it happens where the the bribe, or it can be in the action of bribe, or making use of a person for unethical behavior. So all such things happens. So therefore, it is very much useful to understand the basic rights for the professional consciences. Consciences is understanding of at the individual level for the which is correct and which is incorrect. So, the right of professional consciences, that is very, very important to note here. So, this is the basic right which explains the decision taken while what is carrying on the duty, whether it is correct or wrong, whether it is related to the correctness or incorrectness, or it is affecting the morals or ethical manner. So, therefore, one can oppose such things. So there are some of the justifications we can make out carrying out the duties as mentioned. Some of the duties you can let us say that your boss says that, let us say you are carrying out the correct procedural way of the design, and your boss says that this is incorrect, so you do it in in a proper direction so that to benefit personally, that can be benefited to a particular person. He is in the highest level. So if such is the case, then you can have the right to argue. You are having the right to uh, justify this and right to fight for such things. Therefore, it is another important thing we can understand that general duties to respect to persons and rule utilizations. That is a very important thing. And also, this allows for a public goodness and to pursue the professional duties. And please note that one should understand that it is not the professional means, it is not the individual level of the development, it is a development at the whole of the society. Therefore, engineers, one has to understand the concept of the what you call as the whole development at the public domain, we can say public domain, for the good of the public, and it is necessary for the engineers to pursue their personal duties, to execute such an action which will benefit the whole of the company, whole of the society, whole of the public, for the benefit of this. Now, we can have the another point here, right of consciousness refusal. So I can say that refusal is the right to refuse to engage in a unethical behavior. This can done solely because of it feels unethical to the person who is engaging such activities. Therefore, we can have the two main situations what can explain here, stated that certain act is unethical as in widely stated agreement among all the employers. When there is occurs disagreement among considerable number of people whether the act is unethical. Hence, it is understood that engineers and other professionals have a moral right to refuse unethical act such as bribery. So, therefore, this is a very important what you call a sentence we can understand here. So, bribery, forging documents, these are the very some of the activities that which are happening in certain organizations. So these things which are to be considered very seriously by individual in a profession. So therefore, you are having the full right to refuse, and you can have the full right to act in an ethical manner. Therefore, these are the words which you have to understand here in the particular company where you have to have the right of consciousness. Now, right to recognition, that is very important. One is an engineer has a right to recognize one's work and accomplishments, that is achievements. So, work and achievements. So, therefore, engineers has a right to understand that he can be recognized wholly at the level of the level of individual company, or it may be at the whole of the world itself. So therefore, there are two types of recognition, right to recognition. One is at the internal level and external level. Internal level means at the level of a single organization, and external level means you have got the worldwide recognition. So you are having the right to claim so for this recognition for the one's work and accomplishment. So engineer has the right to speak about the work one does by maintaining confidentially and can receive external recognition. So this is very important terminology here. So you have to understand here. So therefore, maintaining this the confidential accomplishments, that is most important thing. So maintaining confidential accomplishments, it is your right to go for recognizing certain what you call as work you have carried out at the level of your individual, and you should have the right to go for the recognition at the internal level as well as the external level. And the internal level means you can speak about your positions, enhancement in your what you call as the what you call as the salary, or the you can professional what you call as the promotions and other things and other perks we can have. So the right for internal recognition, which includes also the patents. So now patents is very important thing you should understand. So patent is which is right. It is a copyright which is sanctioned by certain patent organizations. So patent is nothing but it is what you call as uh, the recognition given to an individual for his invention. So therefore, this is patents are subjected to the conditions. There are certain conditions. Now, the patents that may be divided into at the individual level, at the what you call as at the level of the organization. But usually, we can, if you talk about at the level of personal level, let us say your own invention. Let us say that you are having the the logo of your own company. Let us say that some logo you are having, so somebody will copy your logo and make use of your logo for their promotions. So you can claim, you can file the lawsuit, you can claim the penalty against them. So this happens many times. So therefore, the patents I am going to discuss in detail in the coming article. So therefore, patents are very important to understand. So at this entire discussion, you have to understand this terminology, patents. That is very important. Patents and promotions. So therefore, it is very important to understand the right for recognition. So if you are not recognized for your work, for your invention, for your accomplishments, you are having the full right to fight against this injustice, and you can file a lawsuit for against the people who are working against you. And also some of the concepts of employee rights that can be understand at the level of individual. Once again, an employee right can be anything which is in terms of we can express in terms of legal or ethical, that involves in the status of being an employee, that can be summarized in the only one word, that is professional rights, what we call. So that can be legalized, or it can be considered as individual morals. So that can be very important to be considered for the employee rights. So privacy is another aspect, which is the privacy refers to right of having the private life. And another thing is that in the whole of the industry or whole of the companies, one is having the right to have the privacy at an individual level as a whole of the company. So one has to have the right to live independently at the level of private. At the level of private, we call it as a terminology, we call it as a privacy. Therefore, the situations where it functions, the employer conducts or misbehavior or unethical way, then you can have the right to fight against such action of the your employers for disturbing the entire private life. Therefore, the privacy, there should not be a disturbance in your private life or entire privacy as a whole. Therefore, all employees, they should have the equal opportunities without discrimination. That is one thing. And another thing is that you should have the professional, the what you call as non-discrimination. That is a very, very important thing. Non-discrimination, that is very important to consider at the level of managerial, at the level of the employer level. So this is very, very important to understand. What is the act which is considered here is the Act of 1964, which says that any employer which is practicing employer, he fails to refuse to hire or discharge any individual or otherwise to discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation in terms of conditions or privileges or employment. Such individuals considered to be race or color or religion, etc., that can be considered very seriously, and one can file against such discrimination in terms of color, in terms of religion, or whatever the things. Therefore, this law, which states that, which the following conditions one should understand to act as a lawfully. So therefore, lawfully, and consider these points into account to file lawsuit if at any discrimination it happens. Therefore, according to the Civil Rights Act, which is established in the year 1964, therefore, so this is to be very important to be considered at the level of individual and also at the level of the organization. So therefore, this is very, very important to understand here. Now, let us discuss about the very important aspect of today's lecture, that is intellectual property rights. We call shortly it as IPR. So intellectual property rights, as I said, it is a patent. I will just discuss in detail. So intellectual property right is another sort of right which have allows a creator or owner of a particular invention in terms of either it may be a product or it may be a symbol or it may be a logo or a trademark or copyright or whatever. So for his individual level of invention, one has to have the property rights. So one has to have the property copyrights, so that can enhance his the what you call as the legal ethics to file certain actions, which is someone misuse these rights, misuse these what you call as inventions at the global level, at the individual level. For example, you can have the what you call as a product which is developed, a product which is developed by your own in terms of a material, in terms of what you call as any product which is related to our construction industry. Let us say today you have invented cement, you invented a new product which is equivalent to a cement. Now it is replacing a cement. Now we can have the right to file a lawsuit against such persons who is getting the informations or the technology of manufacture of such product, which is very, very important for their business, and you can file them against these actions, because a person, patent is nothing but a individual invention. It is an individual recognition. So that is mainly given for about 20 years. So therefore, this is the only thing you can have at the global level or individual level. You can file a lawsuit against people who is misusing your technology, misusing your invention for their benefits. So therefore, as an example, I am quoting here, let us say that you are developing a material which is almost equal to cement. Now, which is having the binding property and it is largely used for the development of construction materials. Therefore, when it happens to be your own product, your own idea, when it is own invention, you are having a very right to have the patent, and also when the patent is uh, received by you by the particular organization, so you can have the very right to act against the people who is misusing it. For example, as I said, this is a particular material. They can copy your technology and start their own business. Copying a technology is another unethical way, or it is against the legal procedures of functioning. Therefore, you can file a lawsuit. Therefore, one can understand here, patent is a recognition given by a particular organization. So in India, Indian Patent Organization that provides you a recognition or a copyright for about 20 years. That means you can have the global recognition, you can have national recognition, you can have the rights to access the reward also for that. So therefore, this is the most important thing. For example, we are having certain logos. For example, Tata is having the logo as T. So one cannot use this T symbol or a logo for his own products. If they use this logo for their products, then the company can file a suit. Then he have to claim so much of money. It happened some of the times in the global sector, global organizations, how they copy copy some of the technologies in manufacturing your mobile phones. So some of the organizations copy it. So therefore, they go for the lawsuit because you are already registered under Patent Act. So therefore, they can file a suit. Then they can claim the compensation. The compensation goes around the billions of dollars. So therefore, at the global level, so therefore at the individual level, it may go up to some of the few crores. So therefore, the patent is a protection which is given to the particular individual to understand his recognition, one thing, and he is safeguarded for number of years. So therefore, his invention, his what you call as whatever the knowledge, his whatever the overall whatever the work which is done for a period of certain period, so that cannot be wasted. So therefore, we should understand at the level of global or at the level of national, one has to understand that patent is a recognition, and it is understanding for all the persons who has invented a new product, invented certain uh, uh, product logos, company logos, or any of the thing. We can have the own idea or own invention. For this, you can find the patent rights. Therefore, these are the explanations we can have. So trademark is another word we are making use of. Trademark is another word. So trademark is also certain symbol which gives you, the trademark is a symbol which explains the particular product or a particular company or anything of that. So if you misuse this trademark for your own benefit, then a particular company can claim for the compensation. So therefore, these are the wordings, and even some of the cases, even name of the newspapers. So you can see the name of the newspapers, it is his own patent. So one cannot copy the name of the newspapers. That is very important to understand here. So that is one thing. And even the industrial designs. So industrial designs, it is also one of the very important thing to understand. So in industry, one is having the having the own the product designs. For example, you are having manufacturing sectors, they are having the own design procedures. So as I said in the example of the manufacturing of mobile phones, the manufacture of certain the the automobile parts or any of the products, they're having the own idea, or they're having the own the technology. So you cannot copy these the inventions, these the works they have carried out. These are the whatever patents they have carried, they have obtained from the particular organizations. So you cannot duplicate it. So therefore, once a person understands that there is a duplication elsewhere, then one can have the lawsuit for this. Therefore, file a lawsuit and get the compensation. So this compensation goes to the different order of different level. Therefore, we can understand here these are the words what we repeatedly were using. The professional rights, under professional rights, we are having the very important concept of what you call as the patents. That is very, very important. The protection of patent, that is very important. So therefore, so that is recognized by at the national level or global level. So the intellectual property rights are protected at the international organization. We call it as World Intellectual Property Organization, so which was established in the year 1970. So therefore, this the basic idea of all this is to protect the work carried out, individual work carried out, or the work carried out at the organization level. So that is to be recognized, that is to be found to be respected, and that should be given the right to file a legal right. It is a right means it is a legal right. Therefore, so legal rights that should be given by the particular organizations to fight against the misuse, the misconduct of such products, such what you call as the logos, symbols, and other inventions carried out by the individual or at the level of organization level. So therefore, so these are the important aspects one has to understand for the benefit of the individual level. So therefore, so you have to make sure that understanding the intellectual property right is a very, very important understanding here. So even at the giving examples of on the material technology, or it may be machinery, or it may be the product, it may be anything of that kind, it, logos, etc., etc. So you are having the right to act against such actions, act against such actions carried out by third party, where they will making use of your own technology, your own ideas. Then you can file the lawsuit to claim the compensation. Now there are, as I understood, that there are two organizations at the level of the national level, or it is international level. So two organizations, one at the Indian level, and there are some of the organizations at the private sectors also. They are also giving the patents. They are also recognizing your work. They will also give they are having the right to give the patent rights. Therefore, we can claim for that also. Therefore, at the level of the company, as the level of individual, one has to understand that this is the right to claim for the misuse of their own invention or their own technology. Now let us discuss about a simple thing regarding the whistle blowing. Whistle blowing occurs when an employee or a former employee conveys the information about the significant moral problems of one position to take the benefit of the problem. And here, it happens many times for the benefit of the one profession. One has to give some information about certain company at the at the inside level, at the outside level. Therefore, this is a whistleblowing when occurs in the different forms. Whistleblowing forms in the different ways. When it occurs internally, passing of the information about one moral conduct or ethical conduct, whatever. So therefore, it is very important to understand here. This happens internally, externally. This when the internally it happens, we call it as internal whistleblowing. When it happens externally, we call it as external whistleblowing. And if it is happening at the open level, it is open to everyone. Then it happens. It is called as open whistleblowing. And if it is blowing is happening, whistleblowing is happening by concealing his identity, then it is said to be anonymous whistleblowing. So these are the varieties of the type of the moral problem, significant moral problem at the individual level, at the external level, at the open level, and concealing his own identity. So these are the different things, different aspects you have to consider while the behaving or following the moral conduct and ethical conduct, all these things which is to be considered while performing the duty. And for these things are very important aspects for the consideration of the prosperity of one organization, prosperity of one what you call as oneself, oneness, and oneself, and the entire the country needs the understanding of these conditions of the misbehavior. Also, we consider it as at the level of the internal level, external level, and open level. So these are the things we should understand when the persons, the functioning at the outside without knowledge of the employer, then it is considered a very serious offense. And sometimes it is protected for the benefit of the particular organization. So that is also there. Therefore, so these are the aspects which is considered in the discussion of protecting the whistleblowers. So if the whistleblowers entails the substantial risk of retaliation, which is difficult to express to the challenge. Therefore, when it happens that if it is considered to be lawfully, it is correct. When it is found to be very suitable, then one can make the whistleblowing for the benefit of the organization. But if it is going against the organization, then it is considered as a serious offense. Therefore, it is whistleblowing is a very important concept to be understand here at the individual level and at the level of the organization. So therefore, one has to understand these are the points of today's discussion of what you call as intellectual property rights, the what you call as professional rights, professional ethics, and we have the examples on certain examples on individual rights, what you discussed as the racism, and also we have understand the treatment given by the employer for a particular the employee for their discrimination in terms of racism or in terms of caste, creed, etc. So these are the points you has to understand as an individual, as a professional, professionally, we have to make the understanding here for the whole of the organization to act the lawfully, and we can say that it is the right to act is a very important concept, right to act. Therefore, intellectual property right is a very, very important terminology that one has to understand at the level of organization, at the level of individuals. So I think with this, we have covered some of the aspects of today's lectures, like the rights, particularly the rights we have can have at the individual, professional, and intellectual property rights, and also whistleblowing. So I think these are the topics which can be considered very systematically, very seriously for the development of the organization, for a development of at the individual level. Okay. So with this, we conclude the today's lecture.